Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade Now Hallmark, and today I've got these two beautiful fall cards featuring some awesome products from Simon Says Stamp. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. So today's project features some great products from Simon Says Stamp. Some of these products are older, some of these products are new. I wanted to kind of mix and match and go through my stash with some elements that I had and that I felt would go really well together. So I've got all of my products I'm going to be using here, and I'll have everything listed down in the description box below if you're interested in any of these products. So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to stamp my background panels, and I'm using some pre-cut pieces of cardstock for my cards today. And the green comes from Concord and Ninth. It is the color Eucalyptus, and I felt like these colors from Simon Says Stamp worked really well with this one. I am using some Positively Saturated inks today. I just have the mini cubes. I don't have the large ones, but they still work the same and they work just as good. It just takes you a little bit longer to stamp up these larger images. The colors that I'm using today are Pine, Sage, and Aspen. I felt like these ones went really well together with this Eucalyptus color from Concord and Ninth, and I really love this stamp. This came out, I believe it was last year. I could be mistaken, but this is the Pumpkin to Talk About stamp, and I just love this large background. I feel like there's so many different things that you can do with it, and I wanted it to be kind of like the main focal point of my card, with just using the line work and not doing any coloring. And there's some really great sentiments in this stamp set as well. I decided not to use them this time, but I definitely will use them again in the future. Once I had my green panel stamped down, I got my stamp nice and clean and just kind of made sure it was clean for my next panel, which is some Desert Storm cardstock that I also pre-cut down using one of my dies. And it's just going to leave a nice thin border around the finished cards. And I'm going to go in with some Simon Says Stamp chocolate brown ink, and that's going to be my base layer like I did for my green card. And then when I do my ink blending, I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide inks for this. And I just love the line work on these. I think that's so pretty. I think it turned out really great. I love the different shapes of the stems and the different sizes of the pumpkins. I love how they're not kind of like all in a row. They're all kind of mixed matched, kind of how you would find them in like a pumpkin patch, or if you went and picked out some pumpkins, how they would look inside of like the bin, which I think is really fun. So I'm going to get this stamp all cleaned up, and then we're going to move into our ink blending. So for my ink blending today, I'm going to be using my Waffle Flower ink blending mat just to help hold the panels in place. And I'm going to start with my brown panel because my green one wasn't quite dry all the way. So I wanted to make sure it was nice and dry. I'm going to go in with some Distress Oxide inks today, and this is one of my favorite ways to add some fun dimension and interest to a card is by ink blending, around the edges towards the center to create kind of like a vignette look. I feel like it really adds some fun interest and dimension to the card, and it kind of just jazzes it up a little bit. You could definitely leave these plain ink blended and they would still make really nice cards, but me personally, I feel like it adds a lot of interest to the cards themselves. You could definitely use any kind of ink that you have on hand. I'm going to be using two different kinds. Obviously, I'm using these oxide inks for this brown panel, and then for my green panel, I'm going to be using those Positively Saturated inks. So you're going to see the difference between the two. They still blend really well, and they both look really great. It just kind of goes to show you that you can use any inks to do the same techniques on different panels. Once I had that all done, I'm going to go in and do a little bit of ink splatter with the inks that I used. I'm going to just get that ground espresso smushed down on my mat here. I'm going to get it wet, and I'm going to do a little bit of splatter. You can definitely leave this part out. It's not necessary if you're not into the splatter, but I feel like it gives just a little bit more interest to the card panel itself and just kind of gives it that fall look. I guess you can kind of get away with a little bit of I guess quote unquote grunge. That's the way I see it when it comes with like pumpkins, especially, and anything that's kind of fall or Halloween related. I'm also going to bring out my metallic gold paints today. This is a Prima palette. I think it's still available, but you could use any kind of gold, watercolor paint. You could use gold embellishments, anything like that. Anything that you have, you could definitely leave this out also. But I really like the way that this looked, adding just a little bit of gold to the background. Really kind of jazzed it up a little bit more and gave it some more interest. And it'll also help match with the sentiment later. Once I had the brown panel all finished, I'm going to get my station cleaned up and start working on the green panel. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing that I did on my other panel that I'm doing on this one. I'm starting with some lighter color. I'm going in with Aspen to start with, and I'm going to speed this process up a little bit. And it doesn't look like anything's happening. It doesn't really look all that great. It kind of looks a little splotchy, that sort of thing. But the nice thing about these positively saturated inks is as they dry, they do kind of blend out and they smooth out and they look really, really nice. So if this is all that you have, if you only have, dye inks, you don't have distress inks, or you don't have oxide inks, you can still achieve the same sort of look with these that I did with the brown panel. And I think it turned out really great. I really do love how it looks. Now that it's all nice and dry and everything has smoothed out, it really blended beautifully and it really fits my whole fall theme that I'm going for. I also did some splattering with these as well. These positively saturated inks do well with water. And then I'm going to bring in that gold again for this one as well. So again, exactly the same kind of process, and you can choose any colors that you like. I just decided to go with the green and the brown. I felt like they looked really nice, but I think this would be fun like on an orange panel as well, or you could do it in gray. Anything would be really fun. I think you could make a whole set of these cards in a variety of different fall colors and they would look really great. So now I'm going to set these panels off to the side to dry completely before I start working on the other elements of the card. So I'm going to get this all cleaned up here and we're going to work on my greetings themselves. So this die that I'm using is quite an old die. I'm pretty sure it's still available at Simon Says Stamp, and I've used it numerous times in the past, and I just love the different ways that you can use this die. So you can do what I'm doing here, and I'm doing some inlay die cutting, and I've die cut this several times out of some of my favorite fall colors, and I'm just inlaying the letters back inside of the die cut itself. Now again, you can leave this blank and just have like the outline, the negative space. You can take the negative space off and just have the letters floating there. There's so many different things that you can do with this die. I just think it's super fun and versatile. I'm going to show you two different ways to use it here in this video. Both are inlay die cutting, but you can achieve two different looks with the same die. So this one is very colorful and playful and shows all the beautiful colors of the fall, and it's just super fun. And this next one is going to be a little bit more elegant. So I cut the background piece out of some chocolate cardstock from Lawn Fawn. I got all of my colors from my scrap bin, so it's a good way to use up some of your scraps if you have those. And then I'm taking a piece of green cardstock also from my scrap bin, and I'm just going to lay it on top. And then I'm going to go in with some fun gold textured cardstock, and I'm going to inlay on top of that. So this is going to give you more of an elegant look. Not that there's anything wrong with that colorful one. I love it very much. But if you're looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, if you want to give this to a coworker, or, this would be a great kind of card for a masculine card, with these color choices. I think these would be great gifts. Gifts. I keep saying gifts. I'm in a gift frame of mind. I'm so ready for this season. I know I didn't get my Christmas in July series finished up for you guys. I had a lot of things going on, but my plan is to kind of do something along the lines of a Christmas anytime sort of series, where if I just get inspired to make a holiday card, I'm just going to make it and I'm just going to share it with you guys. Anything that, if it's Christmas, fall, Halloween, just any sort of card, whatever it is, I'm just going to share it here with you guys. I'm not going to kind of restrict myself to a season or a particular theme for the time of year. I feel like if I'm just being creative and I'm creating something without the mindset of, oh, I have to make a fall card because it's fall, or oh, I have to make a holiday card because it's holiday season, I feel like I would have more success in my card making if I just make what I'm feeling in the moment and not worry about, restrictions and those sorts of things and just have fun with it like I used to. So you can see here, once I get all of these gold letters placed in here, that it makes for a really fun and elegant look. Again, you can swap these out and make any colors that you like. I think this would be fun in like a silver, but I've always kind of associated like gold and those jewel tones with the fall, but I still think it would be great to do for just a regular thank you card. It doesn't necessarily have to be for the fall. I definitely used it in this sense for a fall card, but I could see this, just being on like a regular card for, just saying that you're thankful for having somebody in your life. Once I had all of my elements ready to go, we can start on the card bases. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp 120-pound cardstock, and I'm doing top folding A2 sized cards. I feel like these would be fun to do as some landscape cards as well, but you can do it in any way. You could still make these cards in the landscape style also. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to stamp on the inside of my cards, which I don't normally do. I left a sentiment out this time, but I wanted to stamp those pumpkins again on the inside just because I love the way that they look, and I feel like it would add to the effect of the cards as well. So I'm just putting down my card bases here, kind of turned inside out, as you will, and I am going to stamp them down using some of this Honeybee metallic gold ink. I really love this ink a lot. I think it is very vibrant and pretty, and you can still write over top of it easily with, a dark pen or anything like that, for your sentiment or greeting on the inside of the card. So again, super fun. I love the way that these look. Really adds that bit of gold to the inside of the card and kind of rounds out the cards themselves. Again, this is a choice. You don't have to do this on your cards. You can use one of those great sentiments from the stamp set here, that on the inside of the cards. One of them says, "Let's give them pumpkin to talk about." Lots of really fun punny greetings in this set, which would be fun. There's also, Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving, gourd vibes only. So again, some really fun punny sentiments. Gonna go ahead and adhere my panels down, and as you can see, I made a mistake the first time I stamped this down, but again, cardstock's got two sides, so you just flip it over and try again. That's what I love about cardstock is, you can mess up, but you've got another side of the paper and it works out just fine. As you can see here, whenever I did my die cutting, originally on my panels, it left a nice thin border all the way around the outside. I used my A2 sized waffle flower or A2 sized dies from waffle flour, to create this nice thin mat around the edge. Again, if you don't have dies, you can easily use a paper trimmer or anything like that, or you can make them full panels. You could definitely do that as well. I just like the idea of adding just a tiny bit of a border, adds a little bit of a focal point to the cards. And here you can see I struggled with deciding on where I wanted my greetings to go. I felt like the gold green one looked better on the brown, and the other one looked better on the green one. So again, you can see my thought process here of which one I preferred where. And in the end, I love the way that they turned out. I had at first had intended for the green gold thankful for you to go on the green card. But in the end, I really like the way that it looks on top of this khaki colored one. I think the green is a nice, addition, doesn't take away from anything. And then that colorful one on top of that green one, I think is just perfect. So again, just because you start out with something in your mind, in the end, as long as you're happy with it, that's all that matters. My ideas have a tendency to morph and change as I create them. And that's all the fun of it, is being creative and just getting your mind working. Gonna pop these up with some foam adhesive and just using my T-square ruler just to help me get these nice and straight, because I sometimes have a wonky eye and I never get things nice and straight. So with these being the only elements really on the front of the card, I wanted to make sure that they were nice and straight. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to add just a tiny bit of interest to the colorful thank you card. Again, totally optional. You could leave this step out. I'm going in with my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen and adding a little bit of shine to the thankful part. Again, optional. You don't have to add this in there. And then I wanted to go another step further and make it look almost like an embellishment. So I'm going in with some Nuvo drops in Morning Dew, and I'm going over top of each of the letters to create kind of like an enamel look to them. Again, totally optional. You don't have to do this. You can do anything that you like. You could leave them blank. You could just add some more shimmer to them. Again, you could leave them blank. They're great just the way that they are. But me being me, I just felt like I needed to be a little bit extra today in these cards. Again, just to jazz them up a little bit. And then I'm just using this pick tool to go in and just clean up any areas that I might have added just a little bit too much of the product, and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Once I had that done and I was happy with it, I'm going to go into my stash and I'm going to find some of my favorite flat gold sequins. These are from a holiday mix from, I think it's Pretty Pink Posh. Again, I'll have all the products listed down in the description box below if you guys are interested in anything. Just to add a tiny bit more interest, and that will finish up these two cards for today. I really hope you enjoyed them. If you did, please consider hitting that like button, as well as the subscribe, as well, and that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. I thank you guys for stopping by and taking the time to watch my video, and I'll see you guys again in the next one real soon. Bye! On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel.